Turner and Ziata. I'm delighted to say we've got the author and journalist Catherine Mayer with us. Hello to you. Welcome. So we have your latest book here. It's called Divide and Rule, Royal Women and Their Battles. And it goes back to Anne Boleyn. And you pick out 8 royal women, from historical figures like Anne to modern ones like Queen Camilla, Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Meghan. And the overarching message is we should stop pitting them against each other. Is that right?
Yes. Such a small amount of recorded history is devoted to women, but royal women are the exception. They're pinioned there in the public gaze. And so the stories we tell about them really matter. They never were just a sideshow or as seen nowadays, a tourist attraction. But you have to understand them as figures of great influence, whether they hold any power, any official or executive power or not.
So I was walking down, is it West Street in London, and I saw this thing, 1536, is that what it's called? This
amazing play.
Well, so I know nothing, just that all I know is you cannot get a ticket to this thing. And I said, what's this 1536 about? And that's related to Berlin, isn't it?
It is, but it does something clever, which is actually something my book is trying to do. It shows you how the royals relate to non-royals. So 1536, you never see Anne Boleyn, you never see Henry VIII. All of that is happening off stage. But you see how the culture that demonises Anne Boleyn, that kills Anne Boleyn, is actually potentially fatal to women in ordinary life.
Wow. So you use the word pinion, and as in we sort of stick them up there and we kind of have a go at them. Is that what you think with Camilla, with Meghan?
With all of them. I mean, it's really hard. Even the ones who now, in retrospect, look like, you know, one of the funny things is you ask British people who the great monarchs are, they'll name 3 queens. They'll name Elizabeth I, Victoria, and Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
Every single one of them had periods of deep unpopularity during their lifetimes, but they also then later, in different centuries, would again find themselves being demonised or co-opted into other roles. So this is about why we see women the way we do, but also how there can be huge gaps between what we think we know and who they really are. And one of the mechanisms of diminishing them is always to pit them against each other.
Well, also, I suppose these days we take a sort of tabloid interest in them as well, and that doesn't help.
Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know we do not play around when it comes to defending Harry and Meghan from the absolute onslaught of manufactured hatred they've faced. But every now and then, the mainstream media accidentally slips up. They let the mask slip on live television, and they confirm exactly what we've been saying all along. Just recently on Channel 5, Jeremy Vine sat down with author and journalist Catherine Mayer to discuss her book, Divide and Rule, Royal Women and Their Battles. Now, Catherine's book tries to take this high-minded historical look at how royal women, from Anne Boleyn way back in 1536, all the way to Queen Camilla, Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, are constantly pitted against each other. Mayer's overarching thesis: oh, we just need to stop demonising these women and stop playing them against one another. Cute, right? Sounds nice on paper. But here's the problem, Catherine. The public didn't just wake up one day and invent the Meghan versus Kate cage match out of thin air. And that is exactly where the hypocrisy lies, and exactly what we are going to dissect today. We are going to expose how the institution of the monarchy, the firm itself, fed, stoked and ignited that fire the minute they saw Meghan's popularity rising high above the heir's wife. The British media and the palace thought they had a monopoly on rudeness and manipulation. But the receipts are out, the public is waking up, and today it is time for some serious payback. Before we dive deep into how they weaponized Kate to try and destroy Meghan, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and turn on notifications. You're watching the home of truth, clarity, and unapologetic Sussex support. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this interview for a second, because Catherine Mayer brought up a really fascinating historical point that unintentionally exposes the entire royal apparatus. She talked about a play called 1536, which focuses on the execution of Anne Boleyn. But here's the twist. In that play, you never actually see Anne Boleyn or Henry VIII on stage. Everything happens behind the scenes. What you do see is how the palace culture demonized Anne and how that toxic, state-sponsored smear campaign trickled down to destroy the lives of ordinary women in everyday life. Think about that for a moment. Let it sink in. The culture that demonizes a royal woman is manufactured off-stage. It is bred in the dark corridors of the palace, whispered into the ears of compliant journalists, and then unleashed onto the public. Does that sound familiar to anyone? It should, because that is the exact playbook they used on Meghan Markle. Mayer notes that royal women are pinioned, stuck up in the public gaze, trapped under a microscope. But let's be real here. There is a massive difference between being scrutinized and being systematically hunted by the press with the blessing of your own in-laws. Let's look at one of the tweets reacting to this segment from Elizabeth Solaru. She hit the nail perfectly on the head, writing, "I find her saying this a little disingenuous. The public did not invent the Meghan versus Kate narrative. They largely bought into a storyline that had already been seeded and fed by the institution, the media, and people like her. That's where the real conversation needs to start." Boom! Louder for the people in the back, Elizabeth. The monarchy wants us to believe that the press is this completely separate wild animal that they have no control over. They want us to think the Meghan versus Kate narrative was just a bunch of catty gossip columnists acting on their own. But we know better. The institution seeded it. The institution fed it. And why did they do it? Because of pure, unadulterated, green-eyed monster jealousy. Let's look at the facts. When Meghan Markle entered the royal scene, she didn't just join the family, she revolutionized the game. She was a self-made woman, an American actress, an articulate activist, and a woman of colour, who actually knew how to speak in public without sounding like she was reading a hostage note. She had a natural magnetic charisma that connected with people globally, not just inside the little British bubble. And what happened when Harry and Meghan went on their royal tour of Australia and the South Pacific? They knocked it out of the park. The crowds went wild. The global press was captivated. Meghan was the breath of fresh air the stagnant, archaic British monarchy desperately needed to survive in the 21st century. But inside the palace, behind closed doors, the teacups were rattling. The panic was setting in, because according to the unwritten archaic rules of the royal hierarchy, you are never allowed to shine brighter than the future king and queen. You are not allowed to be more popular than the heir's wife. Kate Middleton had been positioned for over a decade as the ultimate, pristine, silent template of a royal consort. She did what she was told, she wore the coats, she smiled on cue, and she offered nothing disruptive. And then comes Meghan, dynamic, passionate, intelligent, and globally loved. The palace looked at Meghan's rising star and realized that the contrast was making Kate look completely mediocre by comparison. As Melissa Johnson so savagely pointed out on Twitter, "What I don't like is how everybody is comparing Kate to Meghan, and people don't realize within the comparison they're just covering up Kate's mediocre self. These women are not the same, and they will never be the same." Ouch! But is there a lie detected? Absolutely not. Instead of celebrating Meghan's talent and using it to strengthen the monarchy, the institution decided that Meghan had to be diminished to keep Kate on her artificial pedestal. They couldn't allow the public to see what real, organic star power looked like, because it made the established hierarchy look incredibly dull. So what did they do? They opened up the back channels to Fleet Street. They started leaking. They started planting. They fed the fires of hatred. Now let's talk about Jeremy Vine, because during this interview he accidentally dropped a truth bomb. While talking about the royal women being demonized, he said, "I suppose these days we take a sort of tabloid interest in them as well, and that doesn't help." Oh, a tabloid interest, Jeremy? Is that what we're calling it now? What an absolute understatement. Let's look at what Twitter user Anna so brilliantly observed about this moment. "Oh my, Jeremy Vine said it out loud. A tabloid interest. See, tabloids are the epitome of shock-jock, scandalous non-journalism that draws eyes and numbs brains. It stimulates gossip, ESP in women, and damages the lives and credibility of the subject. Tabloid trash." Tabloid trash is exactly right. But let's take it a step further than Anna did. The UK tabloid press isn't just a bystander providing interest. They are a weaponized wing of the British monarchy itself. Let's look at how the media manipulated the narrative to create the good immigrant versus bad immigrant, English Rose versus direct from Compton dynamic. Look at the stark differences in how the exact same actions were reported by the British press. The media double standard. The action, how Kate was described. How Meghan was described, eating avocados. Kate's morning sickness cure. Meghan's beloved avocados linked to human rights abuse and drought. Cradling baby bump. Kate tenderly cradles her growing bump. Why can't Meghan Markle keep her hands off her bump? Is it pride or vanity? Wearing off-the-shoulder dress. Kate looks chic and daring in fashion-forward outfit. Meghan breaks royal protocol yet again with inappropriate dress. You cannot make this stuff up. It is comical how blatant it was. If Kate did it, it was a masterclass in grace and elegance. If Meghan did the exact same thing, it was a treasonous act against the crown. And why did this happen? Because the palace press offices, specifically those working for William and Kate, were actively trading stories. They would throw Meghan under the bus, leaking fake stories about her making Kate cry over bridesmaids' dresses, when we all know from the Oprah interview and Harry's book Spare that it was actually the exact opposite way around. Just to kill a negative story about William or to make Kate look like the victim. They used the UK media as an emotional hit squad. They deliberately damaged Meghan's mental health, ruined her credibility, and put her safety at risk, all to protect the image of a mediocre, fragile status quo. But here is the beautiful part of the story, team. The palace and the British press made one massive, fatal miscalculation. They forgot that we live in a globalized world. They thought they had a complete monopoly on rudeness, a monopoly on narrative control, and a monopoly on journalism. They thought they could destroy a woman's life within the UK borders and the rest of the world would just nod along and agree. But they forgot one major variable: America. They forgot that Meghan Markle is a daughter of America, and the international community was not about to sit back and watch a woman of colour be racially abused and bullied by a decaying colonial institution. Let's look at this fantastic tweet from Jackie N. Reeks, who said, "America doesn't recognise royal titles. I think American media must henceforth pay the same respect back to William and Kate. British media personalities think they have monopoly on rudeness. It's time for payback. I absolutely love this energy. It is time for payback, and honestly, the payback has already arrived. The American media and global audiences do not care about your royal titles. We don't bow down to William and Kate. We don't view them as chosen by divine right. We view them through a lens of merit, character, and actions. And when you look at William and Kate through a lens of merit, what do you see? You see a couple that has spent years hiding behind a wall of protected bias press, refusing to engage with any real accountability. You see a future king who allegedly has a furious temper, throwing fits behind the scenes, and a future queen who has done nothing of note besides perfect the art of the royal wave. When William and Kate try to bring their little royal roadshow over to the United States, they are met with a resounding shrug. Why? Because the American press isn't bought and paid for by the palace. They will ask the real questions. They will look at the treatment of Harry and Meghan and call it exactly what it is: cruel, outdated, and deeply rooted in institutional racism and jealousy. The British media can throw all the tantrums they want on their morning breakfast shows. They can write all the angry op-eds they want, but their monopoly is broken. Harry and Meghan stepped away, took control of their own narrative through Netflix, through Spare, through global philanthropy, and they won their freedom. The palace is left spinning in its own toxic juice, trying to explain why their ratings are plummeting while the Sussexes continue to live their best lives in California. At the end of the day, Catherine Mayer's book title is half right. Divide and rule is indeed the strategy of the British royal family. But the division didn't come from the public, and it didn't come from Meghan. The division came from an insecure institution that realized it couldn't control a modern, independent, successful woman. They tried to pit Kate against Meghan to save Kate's image, but in doing so they exposed the rotten core of the entire royal apparatus. They showed the world that they will sacrifice their own family members to protect the crown. They will bully, they will lie, and they will collude with the trashiest tabloids just to keep a fragile hierarchy intact. But the truth has a funny way of coming out. The more they tried to bury Meghan, the more they realized she was a seed. She broke through the concrete, she grew, and she is thriving alongside her husband, Prince Harry, and their beautiful children. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's breakdown. If you are proud to stand with Harry and Meghan, if you are sick and tired of the UK media's endless lies, and if you want to be part of a community that calls out royal hypocrisy with facts, receipts, and a little bit of wit, then you're in the right place. Do not leave this video without making your voice heard. Smash that subscribe button right now and join our growing family. Hit the like button to help push this video into the YouTube algorithm so more people can learn the truth. Click that notification bell so you never miss a single upload. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Jeremy Vine's accidental admission and how you feel about the palace weaponizing Kate against Meghan. Let's get the conversation started. We see through the media games, we see through the palace lies, and we will always stand up for what is right. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and keep supporting Harry and Meghan. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.